So when we first start practicing this, these off the string strokes will first be on the string with the bow stopped. This can be done around the frog or around the point of balance. Really good way to practice this is when you stop after the first note, you land preparing the second note. When you stop your bow after the second note, you grab the third note. Here's what that looks like. So I play the first note. I land on an open A. I play the open A. I land on an open G. So part of my stopping the bow prepares the next note in both hands. Once it gets too fast to play with a stopped bow, you can only go so fast. There's a speed limit to this stroke until it has to come off the string. When we're on the string, this is our resting point. When we're off the string, this is our resting point. A couple inches above the string. In order to develop this off the string stroke, what I'll first do is just bounce my bow in place, and I'm doing this maybe somewhere between the point of balance or around the point of balance, and maybe a little closer even towards the middle of the bow. I'm going to start here around the point of balance. Actually, a little closer to the middle even. Okay. So I'm hanging the bow a couple inches above the string. What I'm actually aiming for in this exercise is that the bow, rather than doing this, is doing this. So it's less of a hinge, it's more of a up and down. Versus this, I'm kind of doing this more. There is a bit of this, but I'm trying to let the frog move along with me a little bit so that I'm not just hinging, but rather bouncing the entire bow. This is percussive. I am hitting the string and it's bouncing up off the string. The bow is not on the string for very long. So I start here. That's this motion. Up and down. If I want to add noise to that, if I want to hear it, I have to add a little bit of this motion. You might feel that that's coming even from the shoulder. I don't have to move my shoulder very much to get my hand to move a lot. If I move my shoulder like this much, my hand moves quite a bit. So I'm going to start here, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of this to it. So the bow will be traveling in this kind of pattern and hitting the string at the bottom of the arc. So I start here, then I just add a little bit of back and forth. So that's our basic stroke for the off the string. And you do have a choice on the first note whether you want to set the bow and then come from the string. There's an important distinction. There's off and then there's from. This is off. This is from. That's a choice. I could start here, and then now I've now lifted the bow up and off the string. From here I'm dropping, so it would be this. Only the first note came from the string. I can also just drop right into it. I'm going to skip down to measure 21, and this is actually 20. This is an important distinction. In measure 20, now I have a dotted eighth note coming after these slurs. I have to come from the string because I'm actually legato into the beginning of the first eighth note in measure 20. I can't drop into that note. There's not enough time. And I actually have to connect the E into the front of the D. It's the these dotted eighth notes, It's that the sound stops after the dotted note, not before, after the staccato note. So this is incorrect. Rather, that note launches me off the string and I'm sort of hitting the next notes. A little faster would look like this. Now I'm back on the string. The first eighth note in measure 21 comes from the string, it launches me off, and then I drop the next eighth note. So one is from and one is dropped. Now legato. Same. Okay, so that's the difference between off and from. This is off, this is from. And this is on. Never leave, just stop. For the quarter notes in measure 2 and 4, here's the stroke. Calling that a staccato quarter note. It's not as short as the eighth notes. No, it's a little longer, about a half a bow. Okay, that is different from measure 10 and measure 12. Those are just quarter notes, so I assume they're legato. No staccato markings. Measure 17, we have a lot of contrast here again, legato. I very clearly want to be legato here, not like this. That's sort of a bad legato. It's not really connected, it's not really disconnected. We want to be very clear whether we're legato or staccato. For instance, in measure 7. If I'm kind of lukewarm on this legato, there's not a lot of contrast in this piece. If I'm sort of doing half staccatos and I'm doing sort of half legato, I wind up with this. Here's measure 5. Everything's kind of sort of half short, half long. There's no distinction between one stroke or another. I want these bow strokes to be as distinguishable from one another as possible. So I want the short stuff short, I want the long stuff connected. Alrighty.